Hey, everybody, it's Heather Vickery. Hey, listen, I need your help with something. As you all know, we release a brand new episode of the Brave Files each and every Thursday. And it just so happens that each and every year here in the United States, we celebrate Thanksgiving on a Thursday. So I've been giving it a lot of thought. What kind of episode do I want to release on Thanksgiving? And I've decided I want it to be an episode about gratitude. If you listen to the show regularly, you know that I believe firmly in the importance of having a gratitude practice and spending time with gratitude. If your mind and your heart and your energy is full of positive things, there's no room for negative and unhappy things to creep in. So this is where you come in. I want to feature you along with everyone on the Brave Files podcast team and some of our past guests in this special Thanksgiving gratitude episode. So here's what you need to do. It's going to be super easy, simple, and fun. Make a recording of yourself sharing what you are most grateful for from the past year. Be sure to include your name, first names only, and your location. You don't have to be in the United States to participate. You can be anywhere in the world. And we have listeners in over 26 different countries. I would love, love, love to hear from some of you in faraway places. Then simply email the audio clip to me at heather@vickeryandco.com. That's it. Simple, right? You can begin sending in your gratitude right now, and we will accept them through November 1st. If you're not sure how to record yourself, drop me an email and I'm happy to guide you through it. Again, send your audio clips to heather@vickeryandco.com. And thank you for helping me create an awesome Thanksgiving episode all about gratitude. I cannot wait to share it with you.
Unapologetic, bold, and resilient.
You are listening to The Brave Files, real stories from people living courageously. You can listen to the show anywhere you enjoy podcasts, and we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review on Apple Podcasts. It really does make a difference, and we appreciate it. Now here's your host, Heather Vickery.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Brave Files. This is Heather Vickery. Today, I welcome Dana Pharant to the show. This lady has a very interesting story and one that I'm guessing you have not heard about before. In fact, when Dana first reached out to me about being a guest on the show, she asked me if I was brave enough to have her on my show. Well, we all know that I believe bravery comes in a lot of forms, and I was excited to have her on the show. Dana knows all about standing out and being unique and choosing bravely. She built a personal brand called the Dominatrix that pushes people out of their comfort zone, challenges their preconceived notions, and has them stepping into a fierce determination to rock their bold, sexy, fun-filled lives. Yes, folks, we said Dominatrix, and I can't wait to talk about it. Dana, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Heather. What a fabulous introduction.
Oh, thanks. I love bravery, and I there are so many different ways to embody that. And we're going to dig into everything that you're doing, but I have to ask a little bit of background information. So before we talk about the Inner Dominatrix, tell us who you are and how you got here.
Okay. So the story that everybody always loves to know is, why the Dominatrix? Why did I end up there? And bear with me, I will try to make this really succinct, but it is a fairly long journey with the mom here. So I actually grew up in an environment that was abusive, like a lot of people do. And in with that was sexual abuse.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. It was a long journey of trying to heal. And in amongst that, the strangest place that I found the deepest healing was actually in the dungeon. And this seems ridiculous on the outside, that something that looks...
Well, you were in control. That doesn't seem that strange to me.
Well, okay, but I started out in the submissive side.
Okay.
Which is not in control, sort of, but yet it is. So, but the thing is that when you play with somebody, you actually craft out a scene. And so we were able to script out loosely what we wanted. And then the key thing is that we were able to create a different outcome, which allowed me to kind of pull back in all of that power that I'd given up, all of that hurt and whatnot. And it healed right down at a cellular level for me. It was so powerful. And that was what inspired me to want to do this for others. I wanted to take other people on this healing journey. And for a number of years, I did that through the whips. And since then, I've decided that beating people is a lot of work. And
yes, she just said beating people is a lot of work.
And I'd much rather be kind of a lazy dominatrix. So I work. See, I have the best lines that I can work with.
They're
right?
so good. They're so very good. Yeah.
So now I work much more with, the energy and the psychotherapy side of things to get people to shift and step into who they really are, the core, really seeing how incredible, magnificent, and powerful they truly are.
Wow, there's so many things that I want to ask. I find it interesting. Look, friends, listeners, I'm not making any particular statement on dominatrix. I'm all about, we're all grown-ups. Do the things that you want to do that make you feel good. Know who you're playing with, right? Whatever. No judgment on any of that. But I can really see how, if handled properly, it could be healing. I could also see how it could be harmful if not handled properly.
Absolutely. There's crazy people in every aspect of life.
Yes, absolutely. So I just want to throw that caveat out. But how do you use this concept, this inner dominatrix concept, in a professional way? I think you mentioned the archetype. That's an archetype. And I'd love to know what that means.
Mm-hmm. So how that transpired was that I had a big business. I had a supply outlet, but the supply outlet hit a bankruptcy. So I was doing this kind of concurrent with the dominatrix stuff in my personal life. And when we hit the bankruptcy, I had to really get honest about what wasn't working and what I was going to do in order to turn it around, if I was going to turn it around. And that's when I really realized that, I have all of this. I was standing hugely in my power personally, but I wasn't doing it professionally. I wasn't bringing that into my business. And I started to look around at the other women that I had been working with for years and thinking, it's the same thing. We're not standing in this place of, I'm okay with being a leader. I'm okay with being the authority. I'm okay with taking charge. Those are not necessarily messages that we're given as women growing up. Hopefully the next generation is getting better messages. But in that, I realized that it's this space, this willingness to be the authority and take charge is what is going to be needed to grow your business, especially if you want to grow a big business.
Right.
So I was like, I've got to teach people how to get into this energy because it's so dynamic for business.
So it's not about sex.
It's not. I know that is the misnomer. It is. I mean, there are lots of people who use a little bit of kink for, sexy foreplay. But
sure.
Traditionally, like the actual full out professional dominatrix is not about sex at all.
So if it's not about sex, what is it about?
It's really about transformation. It's strange, but it's much more of a spiritual practice when you go through a scene, whether you're either side, top or bottom. The process is very energetically charged and you get into a highly meditative state. And when your intention is to change what's going on for both players in that highly meditative state, just like deep hypnosis, deep trance, you can change layers and years of programming.
So how do you use that in business? Are we saying that you as the boss or the salesperson is the top and the potential client is the bottom? Like, how does that work?
Okay. So it doesn't translate exactly. You're not going to become a dominatrix in your business. No, it's more that I see women in business in particular, women in business need to step into this place of being willing to be the authority. Mm-hmm. That takes the inner journey, the same inner journey that I had to take in order to be able to stand in the dungeon. That's the inner journey that I'm taking them on. So reprogramming their brain, working with the neurophysiology and how the brain actually functions to rewire things so that it's easy to take action, so that you stop the procrastination, you give up the self-doubt.
Right.
And then show up. And then there's that next layer. Like lots of people talk about, I'm going to help you break through your blocks. Okay. We're going to take it like way up to the next level, like, to actually be willing to receive judgment and not just willing to receive it, but to utilize it. So right. As you grow, I'm sure you've experienced this, all the haters show up as you grow. But you want to be able to use that to motivate you to go further as opposed to deflating you and stopping you.
So, Dana, basically what I hear you saying is that you're helping people step into their power, which is actually a term that I use a lot in coaching. And maybe you have some new tricks up your sleeve that I would love to learn about myself. But you've chosen this really risky word. You're getting people's attention, right? So you're doing something I think a lot of people are trying to do. Nobody ever does anything the same way, right? That's why we're all in business successfully. But by choosing this word, you're getting people's attention.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And good and bad. I mean, it's been a journey. I first launched this about 4 years ago, and it quite honestly took me 3 years to fully step into it because I'd get out there, I'd go to a networking meeting and I'd say, oh, I'm helping women to step into their power by claiming their inner dominatrix. And I literally would have people say to me, I'm happy with my husband, and take a step back and pretty much try to run out of the room.
Oh, that's really interesting. They certainly just didn't get it. That you get the surface value of what you think it means when you say inner dominatrix, and they shut down after that.
Yeah. Just shut down and just, go in the wrong direction. I'm thinking, if it was about the dominatrix stuff, I'd probably be across the road at the big lawyers building, not here at a women's networking event. Just saying.
Yeah. Are you, this is a super personal question and you don't actually have to answer it if you don't want to. Are you still doing personal dominatrix?
No. So that's former at this point.
I think that's a little interesting.
Oh.
I'm just wondering why you've chosen not to, again, super personal. So why you've chosen to remove that from your life, and yet it's still such a basis for this business you're running.
I think a lot of it has been a journey. So everything that I've done has been a personal growth. And there was so much that I got from that world, from doing that work and being around those people. And then, I continue on the journey. I change, ask my husband, I change every 2 years. I'm a completely different person. So I think to stay in that world, I don't know. It's like, I feel in some ways like I grew past it, and yet it's not past. It's just, I grew out of it.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Sounded like you grew out of it. You got the lessons and the growth that you needed from it. And now you're applying that in a different way. That makes sense.
Yeah. And I have no taste for it anymore. It's very interesting. So
I imagine it took a lot of time, a lot of mental effort, a lot of physical effort. And when you start a new business, who's got time for that shit?
Well, there is that too.
As you're building this business, especially with such a bold name choice, which I love, I think it's really brave to put yourself out there like that and connect with people who get what you're trying to say. What has been the biggest struggle?
I would say we just touched on it, is the pushback initially, and me really standing and just saying, you know what, it's okay if people don't like it. And what I've found is that it's a great divisive piece. So I actually enjoy going to networking events now, and standing up and, you have that little 30-second or 60-second intro.
Yeah.
And I'll watch people, right? Because the room literally divides in half.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. Half lean back and want to run away. And the other half is leaning in going, I think I need to know more.
Absolutely. So it must just take a tremendous amount of courage and personal empowerment to be able to do that. I think it's impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. Has anybody said anything? Well, I mean, you've made the comment about like, my husband and I are happy. Like, I can totally see, the junior leaguer. No offense to the junior leaguers. Has anybody said anything just really hateful or awful to you?
Not hateful and awful. I get lots of interesting pornographic images.
Oh, geez. I'll bet.
There's the men that think that they should send me interesting stuff. And
it's all men, right? Has a woman ever sent you anything inappropriate?
I don't think so. Not yet. I mean, the
okay, ladies,
open, right?
If you want to send Dana something inappropriate, no, I'm kidding.
Rise to the challenge here, right? Yeah.
I'm not anti-man. We all know that, but that's not surprising, of course, that it's a man who thinks, I'm going to send her this. Like, of course, go figure. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear nobody's done anything particularly hateful or harmful and leaving you to do your thing. What has been the biggest surprise that's joyful?
I would say, in the last couple of years, I've discovered that the bigger power of the inner dominatrix is in softening. I thought when I started that I would need to constantly present this, the typical image of the dominatrix. I have
The strong, powerful woman.
strong, powerful red leather jacket and always be presenting that way. And I finding that, when I drop in, I let people really connect with the softer side of me and the fact that, it's about the heart, it's about the healing, that my business has actually taken off more and people feel like that I'm more approachable. So that's been a really nice lesson.
That's really interesting. And I have another guest on the show that very similar to what you do, but the language is different. So she's talking about tapping into your feminine energy, which I think you two should meet. There's some overlap there.
Absolutely.
That's very, very interesting. I love that. I love that you've learned to be softer in this process and that you can help people, teach people to be stronger and more powerful and live these bold, as you said, sexy, fun-filled lives and still be soft. You don't have to have this hard shell all the time. That's not necessarily what's going to get you where you want to go. And for me, when I present, strength and confidence, it does not mean that I'm not soft and caring and feeling.
Absolutely. And it's interesting. I'm just recently going through the journey of creating the cover for my next book. And on the back, I've chosen a photo which is that soft, feminine, still is staring you right in the eyes to bring that in. And, I had a lot of people that are like, no, you should put the red leather jacket, you strong. And I'm like, no, I really want to bring this idea in for people very clearly.
Yeah.
Being a badass means that you embrace all of you.
That's awesome. Being a badass means you embrace all of you. Instagram quote happening. Love it. And I think that's a good choice. So tell us about your new book.
So the book is called, it's a series. It's one of the series. So the Inner Dominatrix Guide is the series. And this one is Become a Badass in Business. And it is lots of my journey, lots of the stories of the dungeon and how that relates to business. And then, of course, bringing in the tools that I've been using for the last couple of decades with people, what works consistently to get them to step into that. So I'm very excited.
It is exciting. It sounds like a really fun and creative way to read a business book. I don't read a lot of business books anymore because I find most of my inspiration and insight comes from other things. I'm not necessarily reading fiction, although I love fiction, but memoirs and biographies and autobiographies and things like that sort of speak to me. But this sounds really fun. Where can we get our hands on this book?
So it's available on Amazon, of course, and Kobo. And then you can go to my website, so innerdominatrix.com, and pick up a copy, especially if you want a signed copy.
Excellent. So a signed copy, order through your website. Is that automatically signed or do they have to request it?
No, it's automatically signed.
Very cool. I love that. So just for a second, you'd mentioned that you have a husband. You're going through all of these interesting things. And in that process, you get married. How did you meet your husband?
So I'll give you the tame version of that story.
Oh, well, now don't start being tame now, friend.
We'll do the X-rated version offline. I don't have permission from him to share the full story. But basically, he was the date of a birthday girl. And I was the date of somebody attending the party who didn't know anybody else at the party. And so we met at this birthday party and we clicked. And at the time I was busy having fun. I had, 3 other guys on the go. And I was like, you're number 4, but stick around. Maybe you'll make it to number 1.
And he obviously did. What set him apart as you were your own inner dominatrix? What set him apart?
The biggest thing, the biggest final piece, he kept showing up and kept checking off all the things on my list. And the final piece was going to a party, and he was totally okay with me being me. So I could go out and be my completely flirtatious self. And he had zero issues or jealousy, anything come up. He was just like, you go and have fun. He was so excited for me. And that's really the big thing.
I love that. I love that level of support. And he has been on board with your business all this time.
He has.
Yeah.
I've been surprised. I had more angst about, for him than he said. He's like, of course you need to do this. I'm like, okay, that means that everybody's going to be looking at you and wondering, right? Like, he's like, no, go for it.
I love it. I can only imagine the questions he gets in the workplace. So your wife's the dominatrix.
I know it's been, I think it's been more uncomfortable for our friends than between him and I.
I could see that. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got a number of great one-liners back to anybody who has something to say about it.
Absolutely.
I think that's really, really, really great. I'm curious with your book writing. I'm about to write a book. In fact, November 1st, I'm starting, which is today, the day this episode is going to air. I'm starting NaNoWriMo, which is writing every day for a month, and you are to produce a book at the end of it. So
Right.
What was the process like for you to write this book? I know you've done other things, contributing on other things, but this is your first big book. You called it earlier your epic book, which I love. What was that process like?
So for me, this was definitely a self-exploration because I'm sharing so many things from my personal journey and so many of my, here's the epic fail of my business and why it failed, and even some early things that were just, they're kind of embarrassing.
Sure.
So it was, I'd write and I'd, write something out, and then I'd have to like go and do some breathing, do some yoga. And sometimes I'd have to take a break from it for a month and then come back and write again. And so it was a very long journey for me, only because it was also a personal transformation through the book. And I had to get ready to be able to release this book, because this is not, the first one was like, oh, here's a bunch of tools. That's not vulnerable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But this one's like, rip the kimono wide open and like, here, have a look at it all.
I love that you said kimono. That's so awesome. All right. Here's what I want to know. Is there going to be an audiobook? Because I love audiobooks.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. I need to get my hands on that audiobook, Dana.
Yes. I can't promise when it'll be released, but I absolutely want to record an audio.
Okay.
I love audio too. It's my fave.
That's how I ended up doing a podcast, for sure. So as you're going through all of this from childhood, which you've identified there was some abuse, which is so hard to hear, but so common, unfortunately, to starting a business while doing, dominatrix stuff and submissive, in your personal life, to starting your new business. Did you feel brave throughout all of this?
I think it's really in hindsight that I look back and I say, that was actually pretty brave. I think my friends have always described, they're always like, you're so bold. I'm like, really? I don't feel necessarily brave in the moment. If I'm to describe brave, it would probably only be that it feels right. It feels easy, like not easy necessarily in that no effort, but like, this is the only choice. I have to do this. And that's where I'm at with the Inner Dominatrix brand, is that there's no other choice. I've tried to dumb it down. I've tried to call it other things, and that doesn't work. This flows, this fits. And that's for me where I, just kind of lean into doing it, going for it.
Absolutely. I totally get that. Can you share with us one way that we can step into our inner dominatrix to make us more successful in business?
I would say the biggest thing is to take a moment, take a deep breath and say, fuck it. Chuck it all in the fuck it bucket and move on. I was going to do something profound and I thought, no, let's just keep it simple. Often we make it way more complicated in our head. And if we just throw in a big dash of fuck it and go for it anyway, like, that's what creates the change.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I always, I feel like that's something to do with age, your ability. I always say your give a shit goes down as you have more life experience and you start to realize it just doesn't actually matter that much. And when I say it, I mean almost anything. And when you're little, I have a daughter who is 14 and everything matters. Everything is a big deal. And I'm like trying to teach her, like, some things are a big deal and some things aren't a big deal. And spending so much time and energy to make something a big deal that's not, it just doesn't help you, right? Like, let some things be easy.
Yeah. Let it roll off. Like it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And and then, reach out if you want some more tools to make that even easier.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to send people to your website. All of that will be in our show notes, links to your book and all of that fun stuff. As you're going through these transitions and you're growing, do you stop and acknowledge and honor success? How do you celebrate?
Absolutely. I really love to stop and notice the minute things. And so for me, it's, when I get somebody that says, oh my God, I really love that post. That was exactly what I needed to hear. That's what I celebrate, because it's those tiny moments and, built over and over again. Because if you start noticing those little tiny things, it's amazing how many of them there are in the day. And so I get to celebrate 20, 30 times a day.
I really love that. One of the things that I teach when I'm coaching is just gaining awareness of whatever it is that you love or you hate or you want to change or you want to start. Awareness just in and of itself starts to create major change. And stopping to be aware of the things to celebrate is such a beautiful way to go through your day.
Mm-hmm.
It must give you such a peaceful and an energetic feeling, because that's what I think so much about celebration is it's the motivation to keep going is when you honor the things that are going well, you have so much more energy to move forward.
Absolutely. If we get stuck on what's not working, we feel bad, we beat ourselves up. But if you start celebrating, and we all have little tiny things we can celebrate, if you start celebrating them as if you'd won the lottery,
yes,
you're going to be jazzed and vibrating all day.
Yes. That's fantastic. I absolutely love that. Celebrate everything as if you just won the lottery. That's my favorite takeaway from this whole interview. And there's a lot of good stuff. So it's all very, very good. So as we come to the close of the show, I ask a question I ask every week, which is, what is your favorite charitable organization to support?
By far, Kiva.org, because it's a hand up, not a hand out.
So can you tell us what Kiva is?
So Kiva is a way for us as individuals to participate in what is called micro lending. And you can pick who you lend to. So for $25, you can change somebody's life. You can help them with their business. You can maybe help them install a toilet. Like, these are life-changing things for people in areas where they don't have opportunities to go for traditional lending.
I think that's fantastic. So you guys, I ask you this every week, but this one's a really easy one. Go check out, it's kiva.com or kiva.org?
Kiva.org.
Yep. Go check them out and read about some of these people, what they want to do. If there's something that speaks to you and you have something to share it with them, because that's what makes the world go round. It's what's going to bring us together as a community of people and make things better. Dana, would you share your 3 words with us one last time?
So, unapologetic, bold, and resilient.
Excellent words. They describe you so beautifully, and they're such powerful and empowered words. You are just a phenomenal inspiration, ball of energy, a lot of fun. I love the energy you have. In fact, if you find yourself in Chicago, we need to grab a drink, because
absolutely,
I think they would be a really fun chat in person. I love the lessons. I'm grateful that you're willing to put yourself out there in a non-traditional way to speak to people and show them that it doesn't have to always be the way it's always been, and that it's okay to risk not being liked by everyone. I think that's a really special gift that you give when you pick a company name like your inner dominatrix. You're able to show people that you don't have to follow the rules.
Absolutely. Heather, you are a delight. I love you as an interviewer, and I'm definitely looking you up in Chicago.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you. Well, I loved having you on. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to connecting with you again in the future.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. I know everybody was like, we're doing what with Inner Dominatrix? But it was a great time chatting with Dana, and I love what she's up to. I want to remind you all that you can still, as of today, you can still send in your audio clip about what you're grateful for from the last year. This is your chance to be on the show. All you have to do is send me an audio clip with your name, your location, and what you're grateful for, and we will include it in the Thanksgiving gratitude episode. We really want to have as many listeners as possible participate. So that's all I have for you today. This is Heather Vickery reminding you, as always, to choose bravely. The Brave Files is proudly supported by Lost Format Apparel, a socially conscious clothing company. You already know that homelessness is a huge problem. Over 500,000 Americans are living without shelter and millions more without consistent access to everyday basics. My friends at Lost Format know that solving homelessness is a much larger problem than any one company or person can solve on their own. It requires teamwork, sacrifice, strength, and building communities through personal and professional relationships. And isn't that exactly what the Brave Files podcast is all about? That's why I'm proud to say that the Brave Files has partnered with Lost Format, and together we're working to change the face of consumerism in addressing homelessness. You can now get one of 2 fantastic shirts custom designed specifically for the Brave Files. Each order goes towards providing necessities to the homeless. We have one shirt that, of course, says choose bravely, and another that reminds you that brave is always greater than fearless. Head on over to vickeryandco.com/store to see both beautiful shirts and to check out the entire product line from Lost Format. All of their stuff is super soft and comfortable and has an amazing fit. Use promo code BRAVE to get 10% off of your Brave Files custom t-shirts. And if you have an order over $30, your shipping is free. I choose bravely to take the plunge to help solve homelessness. Are you with me?
Thank you for listening to The Brave Files. Be sure to visit thebravefilespodcast.com to access the show notes and discover fantastic bonus content. Music composed and produced by Matt Lewis of Union Music, LLC.
Special thanks to our editor and audio mix expert, Andrew Olson. I am eternally grateful for all that he does to make each week sound so fantastic. You can hear more of Andrew's work at findandrewolson.com.